take a, you know, just a. Ah, what a series! It's extra messy. Hi, my name is Sebastian. This is Vision Denial on the road to MSI, where I watch all the playoff series from all 12 regions that are participating in MSI. Yes, even that one. Today we've got Suning versus Top Esports, where Top Esports exit out with 3-1 in what I would consider a really fucking messy series. This was mostly skill checks, not a lot of anything else. Let's get to it. Things that I like. I like them. I like this series. The series is cool. There's not a lot of repetition within the picks and bans, and the picks and bans themselves are solid. I have no complaints about anything that was done decision-wise. There's a lot of variety. I don't think ever one team picks up something that is like particularly weak compared to another. I have my gripes every so often when there's like a lack of engage. Or if the engage is awkward, but so long as like you have a strong win condition that you know how to play with. Like Top Esports in game 1 had no engage, which is really bad. But given the fact that they were able to play to their win condition fairly well, cool. And the casters mentioned this though. Arguably speaking, this could have been a 5-game series, but it wasn't. And mostly because it seems that like the biggest decision factor between these two teams was the skill checks. Top Esports made more skill checks and they won them more often. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. You don't believe me? Watch game 3. My thoughts on this are mixed. Like, I had a lot of fun watching this series. It's unfortunate though because there's not a lot that you can glean out of it. Like, I could say a lot about the way that Suning plays because we saw their previous 2 series and they're fairly dominant. And we got to see some of that dominance here, but it was matched by a team that knew how to absorb it. And that's pretty cool. Top Esports, however, did a lot of the what I would describe as the actually forcing a team to make mistakes. They played a lot in gold deficits and somehow managed to keep tempo leads, and then vice versa, where they would have the gold advantage but not the tempo advantage. This was a very weird series on a lot of fronts. And I can imagine that a lot of people who would usually watch these and have watched my previous videos would go, well, what does this mean in general? Right? If you have no gold, then how are you holding up the tempo lead? And simply speaking is, you shouldn't look at like as a spectator, looking at the gold itself is a good indicator of generally who's in the lead, but it isn't the best indicator, right? Because some of the better indicators are like how far in are they pushed, the eye test, the one where you can tell how many times the team is winning versus another during each fight, how many objectives do they hold, and so on and so forth, right? And these two teams showed very strongly that they're able to keep a hold of their tempo leads despite gold deficits, because they focused very much on their win conditions, and they do this all 4 games, and it's pretty excellent to watch. What does this mean in the long term? I think Top Esports, because Top is going to be playing against EDG, Edward Gaming, and so this would be a lot easier for me to predict if I had kept up with China, but they have 20 teams, and I don't have that time. I have the time for this now because I make it, but like I don't have the time to. Yeah, So it's very hard for me to even grasp what that would look like. But given that we are now going to hit our top 4 teams, and this is going to be the first time that there's a double elimination, it would not surprise me if top esports goes through the losers bracket to the finals. Primarily because doesn't look it doesn't look like they play to be efficient. They play specifically to what they think will execute their win conditions better. And I like that. Great. I think that it would be better if they knew how to do it efficiently, because oftentimes it leads to Karsa, their jungler, being behind a lot. And the casters talk about it. They'll talk about how either Karsa is like really good or really bad, depending on your point of view. Um, but honestly, if Karsa wasn't so behind all the time, I think this would be like a really solid team. Like, way better than they were at Worlds. But unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be the team. Like, just given Fun plus Phoenix alone, but if I was to pit these two together, nah. So, uh, what else? I think that Top's vision also is kind of spotty. Like, uh, looking at the map, unless they were like really far ahead and playing split push compositions, their vision was kind of sporadic and all over the place. Um, it's leagues better than some of the smaller teams, but uh, it leaves me like it's a little lackluster compared to Suning, who had consistently, regardless of ahead or behind, very solid vision. And I think that the neutral objectives are also really weird in this, but like again, I think that was like just by the nature of how these games played out. I think that if more often than not neutral objectives were taken, were like they took their time to properly set them up, they would have less variance to their plays. Like you would have less high risk, low reward plays for these neutral objectives. And yeah, other than that, holy smokes, guys, Top is came to play, like seriously. Um, if they clean up their act in terms of like their vision and neutral objective setups, and sometimes not jumping into plays that clearly would lose out. Like they do this fairly frequently, especially Jackie Love, who will just limit test consistently, even when they already know what their limits are. Uh, I feel bad for Suning, honestly. They seem to be like more prepared. They had like a better game plan, but it unfortunately came down to, I think it was like nerves at some point, especially after the third game. Like they played the first game, they like they barely won or nearly won that game and like just lost out near the end of it. They win game 2 fairly convincingly. Game 3 is a shit show. And then game 4, I think nerves hit them, which is unfortunate because they were playing fairly well up until like the 29 minute where like it all went to shit. Granted that all of these games were the first 2 games very slow, the second 2 games really quick. So like I don't know. My thoughts are like this series kind of sporadic. uh, in the end, if Top wins against EDG, I don't think they'll win the series after that. But they could win to make it back to the grand finals. Like I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, but I don't think that will be. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Up next, we're going back to Australia for Peace versus Chiefs. See you in the next one.